Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. This is Sunday Comics, and I was doing my what you're reading last night, and I pulled this off my stack, and I was like, yeah, I got to talk about this. It's first off, it's cool. Second off, it's so important in the Marvel universe. This is just like one of the I think one of the cornerstones of so much of Marvel's lore. So I was like, yeah, I got to do this. I got to do this. I've been let me take a sip of coffee. And you'll see why that this is such a big deal. It's such a cool comic, such a great cover. But let's check out the. I gotta let you guys know that Fund My Comic has Heroic Tales 2. The campaign is live. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna share the campaign for a second. I gotta shill. Where is okay? So I gotta shill. Always be selling, always be closing. Right? Is that the oh, it's not even on. Okay, there we go. I'll remove that. And this is the campaign page. I got 30 backers, a little under $1,000. Uh, Heroic Tales 1 did like $1,000 in an hour. So, you know, leave that as a mate. But here is the Renzo Rodriguez Mary Sue cover. It's so freaking cool. And it's a flip book. What does a flip book mean? It means there's two covers. One's inverted, one's upside down, and one's normal. So when you read the Patriarch story, you're going to read the Patriarch story. You're going to see a couple of ads. You'll see a letters page. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see it's upside down. What's going on? Well, you flip the comic book over, and then you're going to have this cover, and you're going to have Mary Sue. It was my way of, I just thought it was a fun idea. Nobody else is doing it right now. It's been done before, flip books. I didn't come up with the idea. But I didn't want to make print four covers, and then make everybody pay $10 each to get there. So you're getting two covers for $10. Not even a joke. This is the best deal in crowdfunding. Oh God, coffee's so good. And there's only going to be two variants: the Renzo covers, and then the Josh Howard and the Jose Garcia covers. And then at the last minute, we made a cosplay cover. I sent the shirt to Martina Marcota, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll pose." And she made this picture that everybody responded so well. I was like, I gotta make this a cover. So it's not done yet. It's being made. So we'll put the cosplay cover up as soon as it's officially done. And here's internal artwork. Just as you know, it's the same team from issue 1. So Daniel De La Silva is coloring Renzo's artwork, and then this is Renzo and Oscar Carreno coloring Mary Sue. This is just so good, so good. Oscar is just such a. How is he working for me? Why isn't he working for Marvel and DC? You know, and you got the coins. I got the Patriarch coin. I got the Mary Sue coin. I got the Heroic Tales challenge coin. The T-shirt is super comfortable. It's breathable. It's so cool. And my wife said it's slimming on me. So there you go. Mary Sue shirt. I still got Heroic Tales pint glasses and card set. So this is all 7 cards from the first issue. Excuse me. Uh, if I can't even talk. It's 7 cards from the first issue. So it's $10, and you can get all 10. If you backed the last campaign, you got the Boss Moxie, you got the Patriarch, you got Maul, and Dame. You didn't get Gams, Robug, and the suit. So you could pick them up if you want to pick them up individually. Maybe I should add a tier to pick up individual cards. There's only 7 of them, but so here you could get a $6 digital of issue 2, $10 digital issue 1 and 2, $10 regular cover, the Renzo cover A, the $10 for the Josh and Jose cover, And then here's a placeholder for the cosplay cover. And then here we have the Heroic Tales 2 bundle. So you can get both covers. You know, I can't give a discount. It's just, you know, it's $20 for both. The discount is that I didn't make 4 different comics. You know, it's as inaffordable as I can make it. Here's a bundle of Heroic Tales 1 and 2. You know, so you could get issue 1 and you could get issue 2. And then here is add-ons. Add-ons means you have to buy one of the above tiers, and then you can add on this stuff. Why? Because this is reduced shipping. So this drops down. You can pick what cover. It's pretty easy to see. I think this is self-explanatory. Luke did a great job. Here is additional copies. Pick your cover. Pint glasses. Still got pint glasses. Here's the coins. The coins. The coins. T-shirts. T-shirts. The card pack. Oh, I got another one. Cool. And then here is Renzo's original artwork. Just look at that. Original artwork by Renzo. It is so freaking cool. So cool. Not all of it is Heroic Tales. He sent me a bundle of you know, hand-drawn artwork. You know, you can't sell digital artwork. And here is the I guess you can if people wanted to buy files, but whatever. I don't know the comic that this is from, but this is like a cutesy animal. It's really cute. Is the Patriarch card? I am so tempted to buy this. You know, Robug. This is from Coney Waves. I don't know where this is from, but it's a vampire killing people and a hot chick. That is beautiful to look at. This is really cool. This is like some I think it's the animals from before, but here's more. Patriarch fighting Robug. Patriarch defeating Robug. Sexy chick. A fairy girl. And that's that. So there you go. Check out all of that real cool original artwork by Renzo Rodriguez. So let's go through the I slept in. I stayed up too late streaming last night. I'm, you know, always be selling, always be selling, always be closing. Ooh. So there we go. Let's go through the comments. So Zach Tan, right out the gate, I'm getting my blessing today. All right. I got my blessing right away. Me and my crazy hair. Marcus is here with the links on my comic, Heroic Tales. There you go. iPad, how's it going? AKA Pad. That's a nice looking book. It sure is. It really is. It's good. Even people who don't like me admit that it's so well looking. It's so, you know, it's really good. I'm really proud of it. This issue is even better than the first issue. First issue, I could, you know, now that I got some distance, I can see the flaws, and I'm trying to improve in every way. Shadowpunk is doing a better job of promoting my comic than I am. Thank you, Shadowpunk. And when's your comic going to be ready? When's your comic going to be ready? Dale A asked the logical question: how many pages are in the book? Right now, I'm going to say about 40, because the letters page might be more than 2 pages. You know, might be 2 full pages or 1 full page, depending upon how many. So it's going to be 40. 40 is the minimum. I want to put ads in and the letters page. I can't even speak anymore. So it's going to be a complete Patriarch story, a complete Mary Sue. The Mary Sue story is 16 pages. The Patriarch story is 22, 23. So 9, that's 39. So it's going to be probably over 40 pages, but I'm going to say 40 pages right now. Okay. It's one of the beautiful things about making the comic myself is I'm not limited. You know, I write the story until it's over. Yeah. I don't add fluff, and I don't squish it, you know, and have to add out stuff. Like a wizard, it arrives on time. Everybody's saying hello to each other. And good morning. Oh, Crenshaw's got to get some coffee in me. Yeah. I slept late. I set my alarm for 9, and then woke up at 9:45. What's going on? What is going on? So I'm a little You know, what you just saw was me taking my first sip of coffee of the day. Let's take my third sip of coffee of the day. In my Star Wars glass. And it's cool because when it gets hot, you can see the explosions. Oh, Shadowpunk's answering the question. Shadowpunk Inferno launching probably end of summer. That is cool. Shadowpunk does everything except print the comic, right? He does everything. I think you even deliver, or does RJ deliver? You going on any shows for promotion? Yeah, anybody will have me. Anybody will have me. I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you love me. I'm going on your show for promotion if you'll have me. I've been tomorrow. Might as well tell you now. Let's see. You asked the question, so okay. So tomorrow I'm on Yang Yao Zen's channel, and Tuesday I got nothing. Wednesday I'll be on RJ's for comic book team up, and we don't have any guests. It's just going to be me promoting my stuff to basically RJ's audience. And but at 7 o'clock, Dan Fraga will be here. Me and Dan Fraga will have a conversation. It's Creative Chaos at 7 o'clock here on Thursday. Friday. Oh, Bill Williams will be here talking about his campaign on Friday at 7 o'clock. Then we'll do It's Clobbering Time, which we forgot to pick up a topic. Marcus, did we pick a topic? I don't think we picked a topic. And then I will be on Aldis's channel at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday, and that's all I have. That's all I have as far as this week scheduled. So if anybody wants to have me on, let me know. I'll come on. No, I'm not sick. I'm just waking up. This is me in the morning. I literally woke up 20 minutes ago. This is me when the coffee didn't activate yet. This is I wake up at 4 o'clock and I'm out of the house by 4:10 because I got to pick up the I got to catch the train at 4:30. So I wake up, I give myself the maximum. So I just get up, I don't even eat breakfast. I run out the door, get on the train, fall back asleep for an hour, get to work, get on the subway. I'm all cranky and miserable. And when I get to work, there's a coffee cart right there. So I buy my coffee, and now I got a half hour. I'm there at 6:30, and work starts at 7. I sit in my little area, and then I eat my breakfast, drink my coffee, and then I become a nice person. So this is coffee. I can feel the coffee activating. Marcus is telling me we didn't pick a topic. We had to launch them back. Yeah, I ran out. So Marcus, wow, we got a bunch of people here. Anybody? What's a good topic for It's Clobbering Time for Friday night? We'll do that. Fragga boom, hanging out with Fragga at. Oh, tell him I said hello. Did you see him yesterday? Did you see him? Did you tell all the gang? Is this ghost red because of fire, blood, or communism? We will find out. Why is this ghost red? So first off, okay, I got a bunch of people, filibustering's done, and coffee has been activated. I could feel it. So I've been talking about the early issues of the Fantastic Four a lot. This is classic Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. I suspect that this comic has more Jack Kirby in it than Stan Lee. It's got the fantastic elements that Jack Kirby is known for, and I've been saying that the first 10 issues of the Fantastic Four are a little wonky. They're great. They're different. They're weird, and they didn't quite. They're not quite the Fantastic Four yet. Like it usually takes a couple of issues for Marvel to get like the handle of a character. The only one that I think that came out like whole cloth perfect was Spider-Man. Doctor Strange they kind of twicked with. later they took away the blue cape, gave him the red cape and things like that. Daredevil, they had that yellow costume and everything. Thor, man, did Thor change from, you know, the first 20 comics. Oh my God, Thor was just a guy who happened to have the powers of Thor. Then Thor became this mythological figure and everything. Thor changed so much. The Hulk changed every issue until they came up with the Rage concept. Ghost Rider, they didn't know what to do with for a while. But Fantastic Four, they didn't have costumes. They were nasty. They were bickering. Reed was kind of sinister. Sue, all Sue did was faint. Johnny Storm was pretty much the same. And the Thing was an angry monster. And then they finally got their personalities. So I'm going to say around this issue is the Fantastic Four that we know. This like it took like a good year for them to sandpaper and polish the comic book characters into what they are. You know, but Iron Man had all the different suits of armor and everything like that. Because the look is part of the character, obviously. And I'm trying to think, Captain America. Yeah, I'm going to say Captain America came out pretty much whole, But then again, Captain America was bringing back an old character. Captain America existed in the 40s, and when they brought him back in the 60s, I think they already knew what worked for that character. Brought him back. It's just that they added a little like sad sack. Oh, Bucky. But that's normal. The X-Men changed so much, not for the better, if you ask me. But anyway, I digress. So let's take a look at this comic. So we got the Fantastic Four. I love this, the world's greatest magazine, and I love this font. I love that font for the Fantastic Four. I don't know what that font is called, but it is so cool. Dare I say iconic, a word that it's a word that I don't particularly like because everybody misuses it. This is an iconic cup of coffee. And I just look at all of the words on this cover. I have the third appearance of Mary Sue, which I don't know. Mary Sue is going to be in issue 3 of Heroic Tales. It's a 2-part story, but each story is complete, if you ask me. And the third part, it'll probably be in issue 5, and the cover for that, I want to have a lot of words. I kind of spoiled it, but I don't want to spoil it anymore. But here we go. Enough fantasy and super characters to fill 3 magazines. One of the most fantastic tales of all. And I love how you can't see it, but they stress magazine in these early days. The world's greatest comic magazine. 3 magazines, because remember, comic books were they had a bad reputation, especially because of the Committee for Un-American Activities and everything like that. You know what I mean? So don't lean into the comic book thing. Lean into magazines. They're magazines. So Mystery on the Moon. More than 200,000 miles from Earth, the Fantastic Four face the menace of the Red Ghost. Also, in this spellbinding tale, you will meet the most dramatic being of all time, the mysterious Watcher. Oh, who is he? What is he? So here we go. This first spoiler. First appearance of the Watcher. The Red Ghost is from the Soviet Union. Even Spider-Man went through a character arc and an objectivist phase. Yeah, but in the first appearance of Spider-Man, that was Spider-Man. By the end of Amazing Fantasies 15, we got Spider-Man as we basically know him for all time. He started out as on his way to becoming a villain, and then Uncle Ben died, and he became the Spider-Man that we all know and love. Yeah, he went through that objectivist phase. He also went through a phase where he was Dr. Octopus. That's one of the things is superheroes temporarily change their personalities and do everything. Captain America became Nomad for a while. It's just a trope. Like when Dan Slott made the Superior Spider-Man story, people were freaking out and missed and quitting comics, and I was like, ain't gonna last. Have you read comics before? This is just like a thing. And then he's gonna triumphantly return. This cover may be inked by Don Heck. Is that true? Don Heck? It's really a cool cover. Really a cool cover. But let's open up. And as you could tell, I'm being pretty careful. What year is this? 1962. I would have said 1963. I'm glad I waited. So here we got. Check out this cast of credits. Story by Stan Lee. Art by Jack Kirby. Inking by Steve Ditko. Lettering by Artie Simek. That is so cool. That is so cool. Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. I posted a picture of this on Twitter, and Graham Nolan right away, that's Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. And then I asked, did they team up again? And he listed like 3 times that Jack, I think it was 3 times. But look at that. The Red Ghost and his indescribable super apes. It's funny because when I read this, I read that as incredible. A little bit of proof why you need an editor, because a lot of words, when we read, a lot of us just start to recognize the beginning of the word, and the brain just fills in the blank. It's one of those things that it's one of those things that people like. Don't judge me. The brain is a judgment machine. That's what the brain does. It's instantly judging you. By the time you finish saying "don't judge me," we've already judged you. We can't help it. It's the function of the brain, and that's one of the things the brain does. Is it when we're reading, it fills in the words. And until I said this out loud, this was incredible, indescribable. So there you go. There's a little knowledge. So there you go. I just love this. Look at the thing looking monstrous. Sue over here, and this always made me laugh. This always made me laugh. Is that Johnny Storm was on fire all the time. Now, I know it's a superpower, but could he control the heat? So like he's on fire right now. You wouldn't want to be near him, and plus it's kind of scary. Just imagine you're hanging out in a room with a being that's on fire. Is it noisy? Well, because he's not burning. It's like, like the fuel is what, extra dimensional. I know that. I know it's cool to make it real world physics, but it's superhero stuff. So we know he's not burning. There's no smoke coming off of him, so nothing's burned. But is he giving off heat? Like, is it cosmic fire? You know what I mean? I don't know. So why it I know I'm pontificating too much, but it's just weird how it's he's always on fire because it's cool. We got to let the readers know, like right away, we know their personalities. Ben's kind of goofy. She at this point, the Invisible Girl might as well have been called the human hostage. The faint machine. Really, as much as I'm not woke at all, I'm not politically correct at all. I do have to admit that the original behaviors and characterizations of the Invisible Woman she was either nagging, jealous, or fainting. You know what I mean? And let's face it, that's all a woman is, right? A nagging, fainting, jealous machine, right? And her brother over here, Johnny Storm, is just on fire all the time because it's just cool. It's just cool. And it reminds us of his power. But there's really no reason. To the point now, I'm not really complaining. I'm just thinking about, like, it's silly, but we love it. We love it, because in the modern Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm's never on fire because I guess they're being a little bit more realistic. But, we got to split the difference between real life and comics. So Reed's wacko machine is on fire. Stop trying to war us, you blasted animated rubber band. Reed, do something. So Reed, Reed, where are you? Watch out. So right now, it just shows up. Crap's on fire. Where's Reed? Ben, the rock monster that he is panicking. We got to save Reed, which is one of the reasons why I love Ben Grimm. He is the softy. He's, it's a total dichotomy. He's an Oreo cookie. He's got this crispy, crunchy rocky exterior, but the inside is filled with lovable, delicious cream. You know, he's a softie. I say it. He's the cornerstone of the Fantastic Four. You know, pun intended. He he is he lost his humanity. Like, I think the Ben Grimm, the human Ben Grimm, had he never turned into the Thing, maybe he wouldn't be such a softie. You know, he was handsome, he was tall, you know, he was the football guy. He was also smart. You know, he was a war hero. He was cool. He was everything. He was all positive traits of masculinity. You know, and but he got turned into the Thing. He lost all of that. You know, this was a guy who reveled in the pleasures of his physical body. You know, and then now he has the, and I always imagined that Ben Grimm lost sensitivity, like you know, a mosquito lands on you and you're like, look, before it even stings you, you're kind of I bet you, like, a dog could walk on Ben and, you know, he wouldn't know it. Like, there's no way that his hide is so, like, you know, he lost that. You know, maybe, like, did he lose the sense of taste? You know, I wouldn't imagine that. I don't know if his tongue, but I imagine his tongue is probably rough too. You know, his throat, everything. You know, so he lost all of the pleasures of the physicality that he once had. So he's trying hardest to retain what he does have. And somebody, and I wish I knew who it was, said something brilliant about Ben that really, really, to me, it was so obvious. I can't believe I missed it for all these years. Is Ben's always saying, I'm the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. I'm the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. I'm the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. He's always saying that. Why? Why is he always referencing his eyes? Because it's the last part of him that hasn't changed. He still has Ben Grimm's eyes. You know, he's holding on for dear life to his humanity. And part of his humanity is, you know, being humane. Where's Reed? Where's Reed? You know, he got old. He was a monster for a couple of issues, borderline supervillain, and you can't blame him. You can't blame him. He, you know, just imagine. Well, I was in a car accident. You know, I was in a car accident. For those of you who don't know, July 17th, I was in a car accident and I literally broke my neck. I was in a neck brace for a while. Thank God I wasn't killed. Thank God I wasn't paralyzed. But imagine if I was, I would be bitter. I would be bitter for a long time. You know, if I was paralyzed from the neck down, C2, the doctor put her finger right here and said, that's it. You would, you know, I would be bitter. I would be, I'll probably never recover. Now, just imagine, like, you're in an iron lung. You know what I mean? Like, Ben had every right to be bitter for a while through no fault of his own. He lost all of this physicality that he loved. And I'm not saying like sex, and he lost that too, but it's not dirty. It's just human contact. You know, people look at him and just imagine being burnt up. People look at you. You know, he lost all of that. So what is he doing? He's holding on to it. And part of it is he's overcompensating. He's the good guy. That's why I love Ben Grimm. He's, you know, I love that. I call him a Pinocchio. He's, you know, he wants to be a real boy. And here, like I always say, at this point, I'll talk about the pages that are exposed. Check out the comments, and that's the way it's going to be going forward. So let's. Oh wow, a lot of comments. A lot of comments. Colored by Stan Goldberg. Yeah, the colors kind of got shafted in the credits. Stan Goldberg was working for you see a lot of Stan G. So there was two Stans, and Stan Goldberg was doing work for Archie and Marvel at the time. He was drawing the Chili Storm, one of the model comics. I think he was drawing all of those comics. Was he also drawing Millie the model at the time? Marvel had a whole line of what they called girl comics at the time that we kind of forget. It's funny, as I get older, I kind of appreciate them. You know, like if I had $1 billion, I probably would collect old Archies. You know, I have such a growing up, there was always comics in my house, always comics. You know, my Borg designation is 5 of 7, so I was the fifth child of 7. So I had older brother, older sister, older brother, older sister. It's funny because it was boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. And that's the way I thought it always was. So I was always, as a kid, predicting whenever people are pregnant, is this your first? It's a boy. Because that's what my mom did. I thought that's the way it was. That's the way I thought it was. But so I had two older brothers, two older sisters, and they always had comics. And my Eileen and Patricia always had Archies, So I always read them. I didn't hate them or anything. It's part of my childhood. It's like a comfort. Is the original art signed? It had, yes. All the original art has Renzo's signature on it. He signs the pages. The sketches. I gotta check now. Now I'm doubting myself. But as you could see the signature on them. If you can't, like the comic pages do not have his signature. But the cards and the sketches they do. Isn't Super a description? Yes. Super Apes. Yes, it's a description. Nice. Omni Po B. Good morning. Silver Age Day. Yes. I love Silver Age Marvel. If you're new to the channel, Omni Po, I did you start watching me because of Michael Bancroft on Friday? I love the Silver Age. I love the Silver Age. I love the Bronze Age even more. Marvel. I'm not a big fan of Silver Age DC. Love the Bronze Age DC. And then what the Dark Age? I don't know what you would call, whatever, the Extreme Age or whatever. But I love it. But I do love the Golden Age of Marvel and DC. So I love both Golden Ages. To me, this DC Silver Age started pandering to children. That with exceptions, of course. Gamma ray based fire. It's stage show fire. Yeah, the Human Torch is basically magic fire. You're explaining why I like Sue during Paul Ryan's run. Yeah, Sue, I hate to say it, but for the longest time, she was insufferable and unlikable. Most I started collecting the Fantastic Four around 150. My first Fantastic Four comic was 187, I think it was. George Perez, Joe Siddott artwork, Len Wein writing it. And even then, Sue was just unlikable. Like, she was always criticizing Reed and stuff, and she didn't become cool and likable until John Byrne took over the comic. John Byrne really, really showed us how powerful she was and made her from being, the weakest link, goodbye, into cool power, to the point it's no secret, I love Ben Grimm, and I love Reed Richards, and I love Sue Storm. I like Johnny Storm. I don't dislike him, but to me, he has the least drama to him. He's handsome. He's good with cars. He's good with the chicks. You know what I mean? He's got a cool power. So, he doesn't have that flaw, that there's a word that I'm looking for. That tragedy, Sue doesn't really have any tragedy either, but they made her a hot chick. So there you go. Invisible Woman, easy to draw when she's using her powers. Yeah, yep. Ben is Kirby in rock form. Yeah. Jack Kirby's one of his children posts on Twitter a lot, and I asked him, and he responded saying that the Thing is based on Jack's grandfather. So I forget his name, the Kirby, the son of Kirby that I interacted with, and he said it was the most personal to his father, and it was his grandfather was Benjamin, and it spoke with like that Jewish Brooklyn accent, to the point when they finally revealed Ben Grimm as being Jewish. It was always hinted at, but never outright. It was like, yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. He's the Gollum. He's Jack Kirby. It was a no-brainer. Like, it wasn't forced diversity. It was just like, yeah, of course. What a revolting development. This really is a revolting development. I wonder if it's just showing an eternal fire that is ready to be used at a moment's notice. Don't want to be a character with hair standing out. Yeah, yeah. Like, how is Sue with this coif not have some hair singed? You survived last night, Marcus. Hello. What happened last night? What happened? His eyes are still very human. Yeah, his blue eyes. He still references the his eyes all the time, because that's the only thing that's left unchanged. Sorry for your that? What does that mean? I don't understand. Can you explain? I read Archie Digest. They were everywhere. Yes, they were. They were at the supermarket counters. They were everywhere. Everywhere. Kevin Smith, stop reading right there. Kevin Smith is like the kiss of death, if you ask me. Kevin Smith is doing an Archie collab with View Askew Comics. Oh, God. Yes, on my way to church. Pathos. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Pathos. That is exactly the word I don't dislike Johnny Storm. In fact, I like him very much. But he has the least amount of pathos of the Fantastic Four. He's got a cool power. Sue is the suffering wife, like married to an aloof genius who, Reed is different. Reed is different. And you marry him, you have to accept that he's different. Like he's one of those driven people, and that's the allure of Reed. And Reed was a cool guy. He wasn't this retiring nerd. Reed was like, back in the 60s, the guys that you wanted to be were test pilots and race car drivers and all of that cool stuff. They like reveled in masculinity. Scientists were cool, and then somewhere along the way, Reed became this nerd. Like, the nerd stereotype took over, and Reed became this nerdy guy. But he was cool. He was a cool guy, smoking his pipe, like Rip Kirby, he was a cool detective, Reed has been around long enough that they completely changed his character, to mold with the times. Oh, you were talking about your accident time. Okay, yeah. It it is what it is. The biggest consequence of my accident was I went through my savings. You know what I mean? So I'm recovering from that. I'm trying to retire. You got to have the right stuff. Yes. Hey, some person's here. How you doing? Good to see you. Wow, a bunch of people watching. And 40 minutes, and I'm still on the first page. Oh, geez. Let me get my coffee cup away from the comic. All right, so I'm going to have to adjust the camera to get everything in. Let's move that around. So now, this makes me laugh. So Reed comes stretching out. Torch, I'm okay. He's in his mouth ain't working. He's in his protective stretch suit. Good thing this suit is asbestos lined. So this is the day, issue 13 is the day that Reed Richards got mesothelioma. Come here, little partner. Those fumes are dangerous. Hey, you got some strange way of thanking a guy for trying to help. So what are you trying to do? Blow up the joint? Now, I love that. 2 panels ago, they were all concerned. Now they're like, you jerk, you bum, and that's the Fantastic Four. They that's a group that loves each other. They bust your chops, they yell at you, they bicker, but man, they're stuck together. It's a new experimental rocket propulsion. Reed, you could have been killed. First line of dialogue from Reed, you could have been killed. She doesn't pass the Bechdel test. Wirtz, he might even have killed us. And then, so what do they got here? They got fire. So this is just fire that's burning and burning and burning and burning and burning. It's I don't want to give it away, but I have concept of things like this in Heroic Tales. Again, I'm always thinking about stuff. Please support me so I can tell these stories. And they're just watching this fuel source that's just burning, even though it shouldn't be burning. And he's like, this makes a perfect fuel source. And the funny thing is I'm not even joking. For 20 years, I've had a concept like this in my role playing universe. You kind of get a hint at it in issue 2. So we say we found this meteor, we found this exotic mineral, and it produces way more energy than it should be under the current understanding. He found it in the southwest by that big meteor crater, and here it is over here. And now I got it, and this is gonna give us enough boost so that we can finally get to the moon before those dirty, stinking commies, right? Dirty, stinking commies ruin everything. So, we got to get to the mysterious blue area. And for a long time, when I was reading comics, when they talked about the blue area of the moon, I always thought they meant like the seas. You know how like the moon has the bright white spots and then has the dark gray spots. I always was like, they're not blue, but there's in the Marvel universe, there's a small portion of the moon that has blue on it. And this is the first time they reference in the mysterious blue area of the moon. Just one chicken breathing minute there. What do you think you're doing? So they're going to go to the blue area of the moon. They finally have a fuel source that's capable of doing that. He goes, I'll be able to go. He goes, what do you mean? We're the Fantastic Four, not a solo group. We're going with you. You might need us, Reed. You're outvoted, boss. And he's like, the trouble with you is you're always thinking around too much. How are you going to get by without us? He's like, burr, 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 and he just jams him into a cylinder. You get the message. We're going with you. I love this profile. I love that profile of Ben. So you're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Not why. Don't do it. They know he's doing it. They know he's driven, and they're going with him. So there you go. I dare you to wear as much superhero merch as possible. You don't have to dare me. I pretty much do. You can be a brainy adventurer and cool. Yes. Back in the 60s, that manly stuff was celebrated and cool. And, now, Venture Brothers did a pretty harsh parody of the Fantastic Four. Yeah. I love the Venture Brothers, but Reed always, Mr. Fantastic always gets a bad rap in the Fantastic Four. It was Mr. Impossible, and he was a creep. In Megaton Man, he was the living water balloon, and he was a real creep. Every time they have a Fantastic Four parody, the Reed Richards analog is always a creep and a sex pest pervert, worse than that. And I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Now, I'm wavering. I have a Fantastic Four homage team, and they're called the Force 4. And they're based on the 4 forces. So one of them has gravity powers, one has electromagnetic powers, one of them is fusion powered, and one of them is fission powered. And they're and I like, dare I make this comic? And the Reed Richards analog, none of them stretch, but the scientist guy, he's gonna be cool. He's Indiana Jones with powers. That's what I want. I don't want them to. Reed is. I just don't like that they, and like the Paul Ryan run, when I first read it, I just didn't like the way they just dismissed Reed, and I firmly believe, and Tom DeFalco confirmed it, that Reed was supposed to be dead. He was supposed to be gone. He was gone from the Fantastic Four, and then Reader demanded that they brought him back. Reed's been done dirty. I love Ditko's inks. Yeah, they really are good. They're different, but they're so good. So let's turn the page. So now, at that moment, on the other side of the globe, behind the Iron Curtain, another strange experiment takes place. So now we got this guy over here. Can you see this guy in green? He's using monkeys to test stuff. So he's got this big, only a genius such as Ivan Kragoff could have trained the gorilla to operate a spaceship. There's the blue light. Now quickly put on your magnetic shoes. Now, for such a genius, it's pretty dumb, right? Because the red light, the gorilla goes over here and does that. The blue light, the gorilla goes over here and does that. Then he goes back to the cage and he gives him food. Ivan Kragoff is piloting the ship just through a gorilla proxy. You know what I mean? These you see him turning the buttons. So unless the ship knows when to light those lights, like it has artificial intelligence, it's just Kragoff turning on lights instead of doing this. So you know what I mean? All he has is a trained gorilla to react to the lights that he's pushing. So who's really flying the ship? You know what I mean? He's acting as the relays and cables and wires and and everything like that. Now, unless he could say like he needs the strength to do this, but whatever. Puts him in the cage and he gives him a treat. Now he's got the baboon, and he gives the baboon a Tommy gun. I freaking love that. A baboon with a Tommy gun. He needs a cigar and a fedora. And he's just murdering everything. Just look at the crazed baboon. He's looking at the target, and he did good. And now we got this. And finally, you, the most brainless of all. You don't need brains for your work. Here's your reward. You are the only orangutan in the world who could use tools and repair any machine at my command. So he's brainless, but he can fix things. It's wonky. It's wonky. At last, my crew of apes is ready, and now we will go to the moon and claim it for the communist empire. So yeah, the dirty commies are going to claim the moon. So read, as fate would have it, at the exact same moment in two different hemispheres, a similar launching is about to take place. This is one of those. I got beard hair in my nose. This is one of those things that we just accept in old comics. I don't think we accept them anymore. But what a coincidence that a team of 4 has a spaceship and a team of 4 has a spaceship, and they're launching at the same exact time. It's just one of those comic book coincidences. They're all going in. They're all going in there. And we see the Reed ship is blasting off. And this is a nice touch. So the Red Ghost ship is blasting off, and it's made of like a glass ceramic. And it's purposely made without shields so that the cosmic rays. This is why I've designed my ship of transparent ceramic plastic. So I mean, this guy is a genius. Like I'm going to say that this is AI so he's free to do what he wants to do, and the monkeys or the gorilla, rather, gorillas aren't monkeys, are working the controls. And now he's making a transparent ceramic glass that can withstand space flight. This Scotty has this for the Enterprise, right? Transparent aluminum. The nose cone of a missile, so that the cosmic rays will bombard me too. He goes, the ship will be completely unshielded against the cosmic rays. Whatever dose of the rays the Fantastic Four received, I shall get a greater dose, and I shall not turn and flee from them as they did. I, Ivan Kragoff, shall become even more powerful than the Fantastic Four, and so shall my apes. Together, we shall be lords of the solar system. I love that panel. Look at that panel. And it begins. We are passing through the cosmic rays. I can feel their rays. They shall give me power, power, power. That is great. Look at that. It's so creepy. It is awesome. Sounds like a curse word. Hey, Kragoff. Yeah. You got to have plot armor. Coincidences. This is one of those rare instances where it's just like, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence, Because if I was to do something like that in my comic, people today, would call me on it, and rightfully so. Part 2, the menace on the moon. Meanwhile, in the American ship, safely shielded against the mysterious cosmic rays, they're floating around. Now, here's just another thing. Why is Johnny Storm burning up the oxygen? He does burn because he he has made reference that if the higher he flies, the harder it is to sustain his flame because he needs oxygen. So Johnny's just burning the oxygen, or is he? This chemical tuxedo releases an artificial atmosphere around me, allowing me to flame on in airless space. It'll be a gasser. So Johnny Storm's flying in space because he has a chemical suit on that releases oxygen as he burns. So I guess it burns the I'm trying to explain it in my own mind. So I imagine he has, if he was to flame off, he would be covered head to toe in some sort of like, black costume. And as he flames on, it literally burns. And part of the procedure of it burning is it releases oxygen. I don't know. Is it unfeasible? Yeah, it's magic science. So let me address the chat. Random Booby. Once my paycheck comes in, I'll back your book. Thank you. Yeah, things are rough. Things are rough. I'm still recovering from being out of work for all those months. I can't. Luckily, I had the willpower to put the money from the first campaign and not touch it. To me, that's I'm not mentioning names, and I don't want to start drama fighting, but a sip of coffee. When you see somebody has a $35,000 comic campaign, and the very first thing they posted pictures of buying video game consoles, you ain't getting that book. You ain't getting that book. If I made $35,000, first off, I'd be running around in my backyard naked. Woo, 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 woo. Second off, that would mean I would have 1 billion backers. Oh man, and I have a big printing bill and I have a huge shipping bill. So that money ain't getting touched. That money until the last book is in the last backer's hand, you don't touch that money. That's not your money until everybody gets the product. It's just bad. And I think that's one of the temptations. And it's an easy temptation. And I understand that temptation. And I've been tempted myself, especially with the double whammy of being out of work. So I got that money sitting there in the Stripe account and I'm out of work and I got a mortgage bill to pay. You know what I mean? I could have very easily and I just realized all my bills are over here. Or half of this is medical stuff that I still got to fill out. I lost my train of thought, but whatever. So, but long story short, thank you, Random Booby. No problem. We got 110 days left. Funny, the Nazis invented space travel. They also tried to arm apes for war, and that was in the story. Yeah, Nazis are also communists. They're collectivists. Same thing. They're left-wing Soviet, national socialists. The communists. The difference between the communists and the Nazis is the Nazis were nationalistic. They wanted Germany. They wanted socialism for Germany. The difference between the communists is they want communism, socialism for everything. So, you know what I mean? The Nazis were socialists who thought of the Germans as the thing to be, whereas the communists didn't care. The communists didn't care if you were Mongolian or whatever. They just it was the agenda, the ideology. The ideology was important, whereas the Nazis were, the ideology plus nationalism. But same thing. They just commie. No plot armor equals a long book. That's funny. I keep trying to work a story in about plot armor, like literal armor, plot armor, but I can't. How many bananas are in the hold of that ship? Does the gorilla get one for each? They don't get bananas. They're pellets, so that it's like big hamster food. Big hamster food. He must be getting hair in all the components. Yeah, that's funny that you said that. I thought the same thing. We got 2 cats. You pet one cat, and it's just like you got hair in your eyes and everything. You ever thought that if you did run around naked, you would have a 30? There you go. OnlyFans. I think if I threatened to run around naked, I'd make more money than if I actually got naked. No, keep your clothes on. Here's $10. Keep your clothes on. You see the coffee's kicking in. You see how I went from grumpy to laughing? Holy cow, the ship's transparent. I can see right through it. It doesn't look like it was any, it doesn't look like it has any shielding against cosmic rays. You know, and he could see the apes. He just gets kookier all the time. No one's aboard except that one guy and a trio of apes. So he's taking the seatbelts off. He's like, let's see how you have, have you changed? He goes, this is disappointing. It's strange. You look exactly the same. No one's changed. That can't be. The cosmic rays must have activated. So the cosmic rays, you don't know what you're going to get. You get cosmic rays. What's going on? What's going on? And then the gorilla is super strong. Wow. Yeah. You have changed the strength, increased 100-fold, but stay back until I decide what to do with you. Now, here's another one of those comic book things that I can't help but think of as an adult, but as a kid, you don't think of. He pulls out this machine, wrecking it, and it doesn't affect the ship. So why is it on the ship? You know what I mean? If you can afford to have this huge, heavy, bulky machine, because they track everything down by weight. They need to know how much everything weighs. They turn it into math, and then they figure out the propulsion and everything like that. So they have like fuel. If you could have this thing that can be wrecked by a big monkey and the ship doesn't suffer any setbacks, then why is it on the ship? But that's something an adult thinks of, not a kid. So he picks up a gun, and I love this. And it's the baboon. The baboon. So not only is the baboon an expert at shape changing, it's still a marksman. So each monkey has two. I keep saying monkeys when they're apes. So the gorilla is a pilot and super strong. The baboon is a shape changer and a combat, marksman. And then the orangutan is a mechanic and magnetic abilities. So I kind of like how they're. I mean, the shape changing in guns is a little. I mean, if you want to think of it as like he's now like an assassin, but like the other two, their powers kind of match their training. And then what about the Red Ghost? So we don't know what the Red Ghost could do yet, but he uses the magnetic powers to repel Johnny Storm, back to the Fantastic Four ship. So before I turn the page, he must be getting hair and all the components. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So no new comments, so I could change the page. So Johnny Storm is like, he got back in time. The oxygen in the atmosphere websuit doesn't last forever. The websuit, I don't know if you could see it or not, but they showed like a couple of lines to indicate like a web. But today I would have like a full-on like ninja cloth suit that physically burnt, and then the chemical reaction of the burning would release the oxygen. That's what I would do. It's just it's a visual explanation rather. It's still magic science, but it's easier to buy that magic science. So they must have been affected by the cosmic rays. So now they're landing on the blue area of the moon. And look at that. That is pure Kirby. Pure Kirby. It's landing, and we got the ruin. So this is the first time we're seeing the mysterious blue area of the moon. Like right there is where Jean Grey died. You know what I mean? It's so cool. And then all of this, it just got crushed when the Inhumans landed in the blue area of the moon. Oh man, that, as a guy who loves history, and that just bothered me seeing that scene. John Byrne giveth and John Byrne taketh away. So here we got the Johnny Storm. Hey, look, Yipper, I could flame out. Read, there's air here. I don't need masks. The atmosphere extends for miles. It must have been created by the race that built this city. So it's just so much. There's just so much Fantastic Four lore. Like, okay, who built this? This so much fodder for future stories. And yes, it did turn into future stories. It's so good. So they're landing on the blue area of the moon for the first time. There's air. We've forgotten about the other ship. Let me stretch up and look. So the only thing that they're not addressing is the gravity. Remember in the X-Men 137, Angel flaps his wings and flies too far, too fast, because he weighs less. So he propelled himself above the atmospheric blanket of the blue area. and and the gravity pulled him back. Hey, look at this. It's some kind of ultra modern house. So there's this crystalline house, and it looks as though something's living in it. It's not like the ruins of the rest of the place. So he sees this out of place architecture made of a different material. And I love how these look like ancient Earth civilizations, and this looks like futuristic. So it's such good visual storytelling. We better investigate. I'll give you a lift, Sue. Hey, wait for me, old buddy. For crying out loud, looks like I came along for the ride. And the only time anyone notices me is when they need a hunk of muscle to save them. So he goes to kick that rock, and it's a baboon. It's a baboon. For the love of Pete, it turned into a baboon. And there's more of them. There must be the apes at the torch store. Hey, let go of me. So the rest of Fantastic Four split up. Never split the party. If you ever play Dungeons & Dragons, you learn that. Never split the party, because they might get attacked by space apes. Wow, no new comments? Nobody's got anything to say? I will just go to the next page then. So we got the Red Ghost. Enough, my pets. Leave the grotesque American to me. You have seen a fraction of our power. You will face the most unbeatable foe of all. You are defeated by the Red Ghost. So boom. I like that. They just draw an outline. Red Ghost, what do you think you're doing? Scaring a kid? I'll show you. Boom. He punches right through him. Haha, this is the power I got from the cosmic rays. I can make my body unsolid like a ghost, and you cannot hurt what you cannot touch. So I love that. What a great power to nullify Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm is physical contact, and he can't make physical contact on the Red Ghost. So what? If your body's as unsolid as a ghost, then you can't do nothing to me. That, my ugly enemy, is where you are wrong. Through mental control, I could will any part of my body to become solid instantly, solid enough to grasp this. So he's talking too much, if you ask me. I would have him pick this up and then a thought balloon. Luckily, he doesn't know that I could make parts of my body solid and pick up. So his hands are kind of solid, because if you let people know, then Ben is just going to grab his hands on the stick and crush his hands. You know what I mean? At least until Red Ghost wills it. But for a split second, he could crush his hands. So to me, that's like, it should have been a thought balloon. Red Ghost is too smart to. This is my weakness. Because I had a couple of characters that could turn unsolid, non-corporeal in my role-playing game, and one of them like picked up a gun, and I don't say out loud, but my players were like, well, if he could pick up a gun, he's vulnerable. They aimed and called the shot at his hands, and hurt his hands. So it kind of nullified the non-corporeal being. He's like, if he gets solid enough to attack, then he's solid enough to be. So that what they did was they would wait if he shot laser beams out of his hand or what. Well, not laser beams out, because you could still do that. But if he interacted with the world at any point, picked up a knife or whatever, they would attack his hands. So Ben should have been smart enough to figure that out. Red Ghost should have been thinking about it. He's too smart to just, my weakness is this. Enough of that. Put down that weapon. The Watcher commands you. So we're seeing through the Watcher's legs. This is the first hint of the Watcher. And we got the apes just, reacting to this majestic power. Draw on the very first day. Even if you can't draw a straight line, just this machine, it just projects an image onto paper, and then you could draw it. $1.98. Draw hot chicks. I just love how back then it was just like, draw hot chicks. This is what you want to draw, right? Why draw anything else but hot chicks? No new comments. Wow. Come on, guys. I feel unloved. And then look at this page. Ta-da! The Watcher. The Watcher appears. Suddenly, Before the thing could make another move, the apes are whisked away from an invisible force and placed in an unbreakable globules of shimmering synthomatter. And then a strange, rich voice rings out, "Cease thy useless conflict. The Watcher commands you." For crying out loud, what's going on? How those apes get to those floating globes? And what is that? Oh, I'm going to break my rule. So you go into the con, ask Andy and Dennis if I could come on their channel. I'll reach out to them too. It shall be explained in time. But first, I must bring together all the opposing forces together from their place of concealment. Ivan Krogov, and then, I did I mess with the focus? Come on. But look at this. So, and then slowly, quietly, the Watcher speaks. "Hear my words, you from Earth. I come from a world so far that isn't. I can't even read it. It's too dark. I come from a world very far from here that you may not even suspect its existence. Our entire planet is one vast, gigantic computer." Oh man, did I mess this up? I'm gonna turn this camera off for a second, and then stop the extra camera, present, add the extra camera. That should fix the focus. There we go. That's better. That's better. I messed up the focus. Sorry. So I love that concept that the Watcher is from a planet that was a gigantic. The whole planet was a computer, which begs the question: is it their original homeworld? Or did they transform their homeworld into a computer? Just so many questions. This is just how you do a comic book. You introduce a concept, and then later on you expand on the concept. And this comic has so much cool stuff. The blue area, the Watcher. My people roam the entire known universe, watching, observing other worlds. We have seen planets where life evolved from seas of molten metal. How cool is that? We have witnessed the death of worlds which were older than your entire galaxy. And worst of all, we have seen once noble races turn savage and warlike with the passing of time, a fate with your own foolish breed seems to be headed for. But during all the ages, I have done nothing but watch. Never have we interfered. Never have we made our presence known. But now I have broken the silence of centuries in order to save you from people from savagery. How dare you think you could stop the communist march of conquest? Shut up! Let them finish. Sooner or later, both your nations may engage in a war which might devastate your entire planet. It is not my concern. But now you bring your conflict to the moon. It is my domain. I will tolerate no large-scale war here. Instead, you and only you shall fight it out. I have spoken. Look, he's fading away. Just so much cool stuff in 2 pages. 2 pages. Everything we need to know about the Watcher. Notice that they did interfere and the planets died. That comes later. But right now, all you need to know. And this is Kirby. This is absolute Kirby, if you ask me. Kirby gets inspiration from mythology, from the Bible and everything. And I don't know if it's the Talmud, I forget where, but somewhere there's like a whole Jewish mysticism about the nature of angels and everything like that. And I don't want to say a race of angels, an order of angels, a class of angels, a type of angel called the Grigori, and the Grigori are Watchers. So I firmly believe that these Kirby was leaning towards a space, like he was marrying the Bible and science fiction, and that is totally exemplified in his the New Gods and the Eternals. The Eternals, like with the Celestials, were angels, and the Watcher is another type of angel. Galactus was supposed to be like the Old Testament punishing mean god. You know, it's just Kirby's mind is so fascinating to me. No comments, so I will turn the page. Well, if you're going to settle this between us, there's no time like the present, Mac. Fool, there's no way you can harm me. You can't even touch me. I shall defeat you all. You know, come back, Torch. I found something. I've got the thing. Hey, what are you doing? Let go. You know, Ben, where are you looking for? You're crushing my arms. You know, look at this strange house. Yeah, I know. It's the Watchers. The Watcher, what do you mean? You know, you forget that Ben learned all this information. The other three don't have this information yet. He's the Watcher. What do you mean? I'll explain later. It ain't going to be easy. Hey, look at this place. What do you make of it? This house is nothing. Where do you see the Watcher himself? He could do anything. He wants us to fight it out with that Kami for control of the moon. That must be him inside the glass dome. So, you know, here he is doing mysterious Watcher stuff. I shall bring both warring factions together in this vast secluded combat area. So I love this. They set up the rules for the Watcher, and immediately he breaks the rules. You know, Uatu is you know, he's a rebel, Dottie. He's a rebel, a loner. And there's this big tornado, Fantastic Four swept up into this whirlpool. Hey, boys, boys wanted to sell grit. Just want to make it clear that girls are not welcome to sell grit. You got boobies. You got an innie rather than an outie. We don't want you to sell grit. Boys sell grit. You know, learn any dance. 1 hour. Giant foot charts. Live seahorses. Oh, there's a comment. Never have we revealed ourselves, but from now on, I'll be popping into stories as often as Kramer pops into Jerry. Yeah, pretty much. And for the longest time, it was only Uatu. You know, he right from the beginning, he tells us that there's other Watchers, but but it's only Uatu at this point. I just love the Watchers. I love the Watchers. And you know, and the Watcher is the inspiration for Big Brother, who is the big eyeball character in Eddie is Doomed. I'll bring that up when I'm done if you remind me, because I'm stupid. So here they're deep in the depths of the blue, the city in the blue area. I love how like it hints of technology, but it's old fashioned. It's just pure Kirby. I just love this. And then inked by Ditko. Oh my God, how can you ask for anything better? So we got to fight, you know, and they're all talking strategy. We got to do this, you know what's going to happen. And then those horrible men and those deadly beasts, they may be watching at this very moment, waiting to strike. The female is right. He shoots a freeze ray at Johnny Storm. At Reed, rather. Boop. So Reed is encoded in ice. There's some proto Iceman over here. I always love the way Kirby drew ice and fire. He's got to sue, but not for long. You always had me clamoring for action. Well, hot dog, here it is, you know. So he goes to fight the baboon. What does the baboon do? He does that whirly gig stuff, and boom, just the day that Johnny Storm got mesothelioma. The fast-moving super ape turns himself into a mass of thick asbestos, smothering the torch's flame from the deadly embrace. So now Johnny Storm's just embraced in asbestos. There you go. You got some dirty commie asbestos just to deal with Johnny Storm. I'll defeat you. It'll take 65 years, but you'll be defeated. You'll see. And then Ben, of course, squares off against his opposite. You know, this big ape. Those blasted rays made him stronger than me. He tossed me like I was nothing. We really got a fist fight on our hands. So, of course, Ben, first for a short minute there, he was the most strongest being on the planet. Then Hulk showed up. Then Thor showed up. And now this orangutan or this gorilla showed up. Poor Ben. You know, he's like the Worf of the Marvel universe. We're told how powerful he is, only to see him get smacked around. Hey, Oscar's here. How you doing, Oscar? Good morning. I was just talking about your art for Eddie is Doomed. I'll bring it up. RJ Williams is here. Did you just back? Somebody named RJ just backed my comic while I was sleeping. Is that you? And if so, thank you. And if not you, thank you anyway. Happy Sunday. Let's check out the next page. So now they're squaring off. We got Ben going against the gorilla, and I love this. The gorilla is ready to fight. Ben realizes he's got to use some wits over here, so he stomps on the ground, sends the gorilla flying. He's already reveling. I'm a mad commie. I'm a mad commie. So now Sue is magnetically stuck to the orangutan, and Red. Look at this dirty commie. He's look where his eyes are looking. He's just checking them out. That's the laws of cleavage. We all saw it. You're bringing up Kramer in Jerry's apartment. Jerry explained it. You don't look direct. You glance and you move. You glance and you move. You don't directly stare at the cleavage. Red. He's got her strapped to the orangutan, and he's just staring at him. Just staring at him. Dirty commie. And now I love this car. They're gonna get into this car, and it's like a tram system, which implied a super advanced technological society, who later we find out to be the Kree. But I love when they tie all this continuity together. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. That's what I love. I mean, I love Kirby's imagination, Len Wein's imagination, Claremont's imagination, John Byrne's imagination. I love all that stuff. But I love when they take all of these geniuses and then coalesce them into one semi-smooth, there's hiccups, there's bumps, world. And it just, a crazy person like me, an anal retentive like me, just it makes, and for the longest time I was keeping track of all this continuity, either through notes, index cards, my mind, like I would read a comic, okay, and draw a conclusion, that's why, and then add it into this mental Wikipedia in my brain, and it fits because of this. And then somewhere around 2010, I started to notice that they weren't keeping the continuity, and it was like Chinese water torture, drip, 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 until I couldn't take it anymore. So here they're racing through here. We got Ben, trapped up here because the big ape. Oh, the big ape stomped and trapped Ben. Duh, I got it completely backwards. And what does he do? He's using fire to melt Reed out of the frozen. Reed's like, it's so cold. We got to be smart. We got to be smart. And this is pretty cool. This is one of those things that makes me think, not just makes me think, it proves that Johnny Storm has more than just flame powers. So Ben rolls up this metal, he was on this thing, he rolls it up into a tube, and Johnny gets inside of it and becomes a rocket, the human jet engine. Reed's gonna follow on foot. So, and that just shows that Johnny Storm is more than just fire. He's also thrust, so he is a jet. The human jet is more of an appropriate name for him, because you light a log on fire, the log doesn't fly up the chimney. There's thrust. Reed is breaking into the holding cell, and here we got, no matter how you gloat, Reed's gonna find you. I'm not gonna do anything. Reed's gonna do stuff. I'm the invisible woman, the invisible hostage. And Red Ghost is gloating, and he's just fading through the wall. And now I'll address the Happy Sunday. Yeah, the Red Ghost is in green. Yes, in the first appearance, he was in green. Why? Why is the Red Ghost in green? Because in 1962, we were thinking about war. The Cuban Missile Crisis, stuff like that. And, the commies were always ready for war. It was part of the PSYOP, zeitgeist, whatever you want to use. So they were always in military greens, ready for war. Castro was always in military greens. So communists were always dressed militaristic because that's they wanted war, combat greens. The Red Ghost was more of a philosophical, You know, he was a red. He was a commie. He was a red ghost. Later on, they gave him a red costume. You know, even before the Berlin Wall fell down, he had a red costume. But he's red, as in a commie is red. You know, those dirty reds. And now we got Invisible Woman is a. If I could find a way to eliminate this force field to free the super apes, I could make a chance with them rather than the red ghost, for they are like the communist masses, innocently enslaved by their evil leaders. Yeah, Sue understands. Normal people don't want to live under communism. Only college kids and power seeking madmen. You know, regular people don't want to be. They yearn to be free, just like these apes. Kragoff had more time to explore the mysteries of this dead city. And I love that you called it a dead city. Just this dead city. Oh my God. It just evokes so much. You know, I keep messing with this, so I got to turn off the camera and restart it again. Stop the extra camera on, and bring it back up. Okay, that makes it a little clearer. I got to stop putting my hand over it. You know, this broken circuit. So here she goes. She turns. Now keep in mind, she doesn't have the force field powers yet. She's just the invisible hostage at this point. So she turns off the force field, and instantly they run to the food. Why? Because Ivan Kragoff, the Red Ghost, he keeps them hungry, and he rewards them with just enough food, but not enough to satisfy them. It's all a metaphor for communism. The people are only working because they're borderline starving. You know what I mean? Like if they had enough, they wouldn't listen to their masters. They're totally dependent. The government is just, here you go. Here's just enough. Here's just enough. Here's just enough. It's kind of what's happening right now. So she's inciting a rebellion. Here comes Johnny Storm and the Thing riding like a. What's that movie, Dr. Strangelove, when Slim Pickens is riding the bomb? My plan is working perfectly. So he's blending into the wall, and Johnny Storm just starts doing the fire. Come on, comic. Oh, look at that. Spider-Man #1, Tales of Suspense. What's it, 39? First Iron Man, he lives, he walks, he conquers! Iron Man and Spider-Man, how cool is that? And just like in DC Comics, every second issue, every #2 had Superman in it to boost sales. You know, Spider-Man, the first issue has the Fantastic Four to boost sales, but it's Spider-Man's second appearance. Johnny, stop! Don't do it! It's a trap. Sue, you're safe. You know, I'll turn invisible and walk through here first. So he's got like an infrared ray. As soon as you cross it, the bomb's going to go off. Sue turns invisible, so the ray doesn't break the ray, and she's able to disconnect the booby trap, and violence ensues. So Johnny's using fire. He turns unsolid and starts running away. And what does he do? Look, I stumbled upon the headquarters of the Watcher. What a fabulous storehouse of scientific marvels. So he's going in there to rob the place. He goes in, and then we got this famous, set of panels that I absolutely love. So he's running through the Watcher's house, and the Watcher's alarm system. Foolish Earthlings, how dare you disturb the privacy of the Watcher? For one brief second, I could transport you to a place in limbo where you will remain throughout all of eternity. Or by expending the smallest amount of mental energy, I could throw you into 1,000,000 years into the past. Or equally as far into the distant future, where you would witness the end of entire galaxies. I just love this. I love this. So, but you are a helpless human, but not worthy of even that much effort on the part of the Watcher, and thus I must simply brush you from my presence as I would a meddlesome flea. And he gets tossed out. Reed has the magic science device. Where'd he get it? Shut up. Doesn't matter. He has it and freezes him. I designed this paralytic ray to operate on the same molecular level as the atomic body structure. Where? Where did you have time to do that? Don't ask questions. That's what destroys joy. And you're not a joy crusher. So Reed off panel builds this paralysis ray and adjusts it to his atomic structure. And, there's a lot of that in early Marvel. How do they beat them? Reed just comes up with a machine. We sure still a watcher to be heard from, and those Super 8s are still unaccounted for. Look at the edge of the crater coming toward. It's him again. Now, here's a mistake. Why would Johnny Storm say him again? He never met him. Ben should be saying that. So that's a mistake. The contest is over. You have triumphed, and my mission too is at an end. For now that mankind has reached the moon, I must go to a more distant part of the galaxy to observe you mortals from afar. For we watchers must ever be aloof, ever apart from other races. But remember well, no matter where you voyage, no matter where you travel, no matter whatever reaches this limitless universe, you will never be alone. And now farewell. Space is your heritage. See that you prove worthy of such a glorious gift. And then the ape finds this paralysis thing. He unfreezes him, and now they're chasing him around. And they are amused, and they go home, leaving the red ghost on the blue area of the moon. Of course, the Watcher stays on the blue area of the moon, but I think I don't know. I just love the idea of the moon is yours. The mystery of the moon is yours. I'm leaving. He takes his crystal home, and he should have went someplace else. Where is he? I like that idea, but of course, the Watcher is so freaking cool. They kept him on the moon. I would have preferred it that he went someplace mysterious, farther away. That the asteroid belt, Titan. You know what I mean? And every time they find him, he retreats because this is your heritage. I'm just watching you. I back up, just like an anthropologist studying, like, oh, they're getting close. We got to back up. We got letter pages, 104 nights, and boys, men, and the back cover, Saturday morning shoe store. Perfectly good place for shoe ad, the back of a comic book, and Fantastic Four 13. So what do you guys think? Such a good comic, such an important comic, such a cornerstone comic, a key comic in Marvel Universe. And to me, this is just the beginning of I'm going to say the first 10 issues were a little rough. Like but they introduced the Submariner, they introduced the Fantastic Four, the Mole Man, the Skrulls stuff, but they were still great. They were still important comics, but they weren't firing on all cylinders. They were firing on some cylinders. At this point forward, man, this is the Fantastic Four. Boom, 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 boom. Just all that wonderful stuff that made the Marvel Universe just so cool, to the point like any MCU movie just comes back to this early era of the Fantastic Four. So good. I mean, I'll say probably like from this point on, I'll say from 10 to 75, great Fantastic Four. And then like after that, Kirby kind of got a little burnt out, a little discouraged, and you could see it in the art. I don't think Kirby was introducing as much concepts and everything, but oh man, what a creative era this was. So good. Kids must have been going berserk for these comics on the shelves. I love the ghost concept as a child, like the monkeys. Yeah, the Red Ghost is I think an underrated villain. So cool. So there we go. I'm gonna refresh my because I heard some buzzing. Oh, we got another backer. I'm gonna bring up my campaign again. I'm gonna bring this campaign. I refresh it. We got one backer during this over the $1,000 range. I don't know who it is from looking at this, but here we go. Look at that. We got the Renzo covers got 16 backers. The variant covers got 8 backers. The cosplay 2 backers. Somebody else backed it. Cool. The bundle. I'm surprised this isn't selling the best. I just figured this would sell the best. Cool. Oh, somebody bought a. All right, cool. Oh, people are buying coins. That's cool. Anybody buy a shirt yet? No shirts. Oh, so somebody else just bought a pack of cards. Cool. Did anybody buy? Nobody bought artwork yet, right? No. Nobody bought the artwork yet. But there we go. So thank you. And this is Oscar who does the coloring. And Oscar, I just got this. So there we go. This is Oscar's beautiful. Look at that coloring. Oscar, you see his name is right there. I cannot recommend this enough. It is so good. I had to read it twice. So good. Number 2. Yep. Magma Comics, Rome Eternal. So there we go. I got nothing else to say. As usual, I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking until the comments stop. Rome Eternal. Yeah, it's a good comic. I really, really dig it. It's a bizarre mix of Kirby, history, it's historical fiction, Kirby, Mobius, and superheroes. It's really, really cool. Really cool. I like I said, I read the first issue. The first issue I did. I read it twice. Oh, the cover is all Diego. I'm interiors only. Okay. So what do you want to? I got nothing else to say. Just I hope you consider supporting my comic. Issue 2 is going to happen, whatever the funding is, because issue 1 paid for issue 2. The thing is now, I need to raise funds for issue 3. So that's what you're really doing. You're backing it. Can I continue? So a lot's riding on issue 2 because I got a lot of hopes and dreams, and I would really like to see them come back. I'd like to hire Oscar some more. We got 110 days left. Let's see if we could get some good numbers, set the budget for issue 3. So there you go. All right. No more comments. So I guess we'll end the stream. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have fun at the Comic-Con if you're there. And, it's about comics. Tomorrow I'll see you at Yang Yao Zhao's channel. And I'm going to try to keep the charm offensive going. Anybody who will have me, I'll be on that channel. I don't care who they are, what they are. Stanley ain't around to promote comics, and nobody else is required to promote me. So I'll be doing a promotion. You know what I mean? It ain't Comics Gate's job to promote me. It's not Eric July's job to promote me. It's my job to promote me. So see ya. All right. Bye-bye.